There are experiences many people carry that feel strangely personal and yet oddly familiar. Anxiety that seems to come from nowhere. Patterns that repeat across generations. Reactions that feel older than memory. For a long time, we explained these experiences psychologically, then biologically, then socially. But in recent decades, something unexpected began to emerge. Body, it turns out, remembers more than we thought. And not just your body, but bodies across generations. This is where epigenetics enters the conversation. Epigenetics does not change your genes. It changes how genes are expressed. The DNA sequence stays the same, but chemical markers, influenced by stress, nutrition, trauma, safety, can switch genes on or off. In other words, experience leaves a biological trace. This is not speculative. It's well established. Studies on famine survivors, war survivors, and populations exposed to prolonged stress show measurable epigenetic changes passed to descendants. Not memories, not stories, but altered biological sensitivities. The body learns from the environment, and sometimes it teaches that lesson forward. This alone is profound. It means inheritance is not only genetic destiny, it's adaptive history. But here's where things get more interesting. Epigenetics does not operate in isolation. It is embedded in a living system, the nervous system, the immune system, the endocrine system, and all of these systems operate through prediction. Your brain is not a passive receiver of reality. It is an active model builder. Neuroscience increasingly shows that perception is not simply input-response. It's prediction, correction, update. Your nervous system is constantly asking, what usually happens next? What keeps me safe? What signals danger? Trauma, especially chronic or ancestral trauma, biases those predictions. The system becomes tuned toward threat. This is not weakness. It is adaptation. From a survival standpoint, it makes perfect sense. But adaptation can outlive its usefulness. A pattern that once protected can later restrict. And this is where many people feel trapped, not because something is wrong with them, but because their system is faithfully repeating an old solution. Now pause here, because this matters. None of this requires quantum language yet. This is standard biology and neuroscience. But it sets the stage. Because once you accept that the body encodes experience, that memory is distributed, that perception is predictive, a deeper question appears. What kind of universe allows experience to shape matter this way? This is where physics quietly enters. Modern physics no longer treats matter as solid and independent. At the most fundamental level, reality behaves relationally. Properties arise through interaction. Outcomes depend on context. In quantum mechanics, systems do not have definite states until they interact. They exist as probabilities constrained by structure. This is not mysticism. It's basic quantum theory. Physicists like Niels Bohr emphasize that measurement is not passive. It participates in how phenomena appear. Later work showed that uncertainty is not simply ignorance, but a feature of reality itself. What does this have to do with trauma or epigenetics? Not causation. Not quantum thoughts changing DNA. That leap is unjustified. The connection is subtler. Both biology and physics now describe reality as process-based, not object-based. Things are not static. They are enacted. Patterns persist because they are reinforced, not because they are fixed forever. This is where healing becomes a real scientific question. If gene expression can change, if neural predictions can update, if systems are plastic rather than frozen, then inheritance is not a prison. It's a starting condition. This is the space explored in Quantum Reset, not as a promise of instant change, but as a framework for understanding state. A state is not a thought. It's not a belief. It's a whole system pattern. Nervous system tone, hormonal balance, emotional expectation, attention. When a system remains in the same state long enough, it reinforces itself. But when conditions shift, new patterns become possible. This is not magic. It's how complex systems work. And complex systems, whether biological or physical, share a crucial property: they change through feedback. Which brings us to the second half of this conversation. If trauma is encoded through feedback, then healing must involve new feedback. Not denial, not bypassing, not pretending the past didn't happen, but introducing signals that tell the system, this is different now. This is where many misunderstandings arise. Healing is often framed as fixing something broken. But biologically, most trauma responses are not broken. They're overstabilized. The system learned too well. From a systems perspective, the question becomes, what inputs allow a system to update? In neuroscience, we know that safety, rhythm, and coherence matter. Breath, movement, sound, relational connection, these are not spiritual add-ons. They are regulatory signals. Slow breathing shifts vagal tone. Rhythmic movement entrains neural oscillations. Predictable environments reduce threat prediction. None of this requires quantum claims. But it does mirror something interesting in physics. Complex systems stabilize when fluctuations are allowed but bounded. Too rigid, the system breaks. Too chaotic, the system dissolves. Physicist Ilya Prigogine showed that order often emerges because of instability, not despite it. Living systems sit at the edge between order and chaos. Healing, in this sense, is not erasing the past. It's allowing the system to reorganize. Where does quantum belong here? Not as a mechanism of personal control, but as a reminder that at the deepest level, reality is not deterministic in the classical sense. Uncertainty is built in. Possibility is real. The future is constrained, but not fixed. This matters psychologically, because trauma collapses perceived possibility. It narrows the future. When a system expects danger, it stops exploring. From that perspective, healing is the gradual reopening of possibility. Not by force, by consistency. This is why practices that cultivate coherence, attention, embodied awareness, emotional regulation have measurable effects. They don't change the past. They change what the system predicts next. And prediction, in both neuroscience and physics, is powerful. Physicist Carl Friston has shown that biological systems act to minimize surprise, not by avoiding novelty, but by updating their internal models. A system that cannot update suffers. A system that can, adapts. This reframes healing away from blame. You are not failing to let go. Your system is protecting you using old data. The work is not forcing change. It's supplying new evidence. Over time, patterns loosen. Epigenetic markers can shift. Stress responses soften. Perception widens. This does not mean every illness disappears. It does not promise certainty. But it restores agency, not control over reality, but participation within it. And that may be the deepest contribution of this perspective. You are not trapped by your lineage, but you are in conversation with it. The past speaks through biology. The present answers through experience. And the future is shaped, quietly, by what your system learns is possible now. That is not mystical. That is how living systems evolve.